What's up, Windwalkers, and welcome to my Mythic Loom'ithar guide for Manaforge Omega. I've decided to try and do these guides a little differently this time around, where I actually look back in retrospect and go through each aspect of the fight, from talents and gear, all the way to how each of the hero talents play out during the fight, and my thoughts on all of it. The video will be split into two parts. The first part will be the analysis and discussion of the encounter, and the second half will be a clean run through of the whole fight. This will be the structure of all these boss guides, and I think this makes it easier for you to see the encounter with a commentated discussion, as well as the option to watch the fight without interruptions. As with all of these guides, you can find the talent builds I recommend in the description, as well as the BIS Trinkets and timeline reminders for the relevant hero talent. Cool! I hope this style of video works well, and the analysis helps you with either getting your first takedown, or just getting a nice juicy pass. Anyway, let's get to it. This is an interesting fight. It's going to need a little bit of pretext based on what my role was for it. As you can see, I am not stood with the group, and that's for it. This is this fucking bug. This is an interesting fight. It's going to need a little bit of pretext based on what my role was for it. As you can see, I am not stood with the group, and that's because I am green marker goon. I'll bring up a sheet that kind of shows you what my role was. Oh, I also need to go through the summary of this fight as well, right? I'll go through the raid plan first. It's an interesting boss if you haven't done it. If you've done it, you know kind of how it works. But essentially, you're playing around the room in P1, where you start off over at this side, and then slowly and surely you move around the room until the web should look something like this, and then you're in P2, and then once again, you move around the room again. Relatively straightforward, but your marker, if you're assigned to a marker, like I was on Loom'ithar, you can see that I was green, rotation 2, odd. So that means every odd set of lasers or potential lasers that I could get, I had to be stood on this green marker to guarantee that I was one of the players blocking it. And that was for every odd set. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I know my odd numbers. Amazing. Cool. Math. And outside of that, then I move position and I stand somewhere else. It's worth noting that only 2 pylons activate at any time, these little pylon things. So the moment let's say star and purple spawn, right? These 2 pylons spawn, star and purple, in that one rotation that I'm meant to be on. The moment I see that, I know there's not going to be one on green. I move my position. There's no point hanging around here and not hitting like off-cleaving ads and stuff like that, because otherwise I'm just going to be hitting the boss and doing nothing to these ads. So let's say I see orange and purple, then I move. But if I see green, I have to stay there for my set of stacks. I need to guarantee that I'm there when it's my turn to get hit with it, and that's when I'd pop defensive this fight. There's only 2 periods when you pop defensive really in P1, and that is if you're a pylon soaker. At that point, I pop diffuse magic and probably karma, and if you get the tethers where you need to run to the edge of the map, that's usually when I pop Fort Brew, because usually it can be a little bit late to get out there because you're obviously getting sucked in, and then there might be tendrils or whatever that you're waiting to break. Fortifying Brew just kind of covers you for that entire period, and then you run out. So that's kind of the game plan for Loom'ithar. This is a SHADOPAN fight, but you can play Conduit, and I think both can do better than the other if you play it well enough and if the fight goes your way. It's kind of a Plexus Sentinel situation where the fight time's still fine for both cooldown wise. I think for the most part, SHADOPAN probably gets more value from Crackling Jade Lightning. We'll go through that in a little bit. But Conduit will do some really good boss damage and really, really excel in P2 as well. I mean, SHADOPAN's not like a pushover on this fight. It will still excel in P2 as well. But I think you're likelier to get more cooldown windows during the second phase, because little known fact, well, you probably know this fact, P2, when it comes down, it takes double damage. So that's actually when you want most of your damage to be coming out, and you want your big cooldowns as well to kind of line up with P2, because the boss takes double damage. So if you're unfortunate and you pop the cooldowns just before he comes down, you essentially have missed out on like half the damage you would have done if you popped them like 20 seconds later, right? It's just how it is. Sometimes you have to for prog and stuff like that. But if you can ideally hold your cooldowns even like 10, 15 seconds or whatever to get them when it comes down, it's worth doing so because it's going to do double the damage, and we like double damage, right? Similar to Soulbinder, Crackling Jade Lightning. I probably shouldn't have taken Shadowbox and Treads. I don't know why I still ran this. I probably didn't switch talent builds, I'll be honest. I think I can guarantee I didn't switch talent builds. I wouldn't have taken Shadowbox and Treads. It makes no real sense. At no point are you ever going to hit the Tendrils and Loom'ithar together with a Blackout Kick. More likely, I would have taken probably Brawler's Intensity, potentially. Jade Ignition, maybe. Basically, not Shadowboxing Treads. I don't really know why I ran this. I can guarantee almost to a fact that I didn't switch talent builds, and I'm running the exact same Soulbinder. But you can still run Zoom's Battle Gear. Still good. Useful. Because similar situation, it's mostly a single target boss, so you're getting value from Rising Sun Kick into Fist of Fury cooldown. As well as that, 2 minutes. You want to play 2-minute Shadowpan here. Um, just because it works nicely with the trinket selection and it suits the fight. It just plays better. Shadowpan in Raid doesn't play as well at 1 minute 30. It just plays better because you can take certain talents and stuff that replace Zuin's Bond. There are certain fights where you will play 130 Shadowpan, but we're not going to get to them for a little while. Once again, Trinket, Unyielding Nether Prism. I would prefer to Araz here. It's another one of those fights that isn't very long, 5 minute 30, and it's only going to get shorter, right? If you could get to 6 minutes, which you would have on prog, or like 6 minutes 20, let's say, because that's when your cooldowns would have finished, then Nether Prism probably gets more value. But once again, Araz is just so good for Shadowpan. If I had one, I would have run it. Okay, I think that it covers. I guess that covers the preamble yap. Where boss? There, boss. All right, so I'm on my green marker, and this is going to look very similar to Soulbinder opener, because it is, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun, Tiger Palm into cooldowns. So I'm on the green marker, and I'm waiting for the soak to come in. You can see the countdown coming in, waiting. I see that it is on purple, and it must be on the other side as well. So, because I know this, I move over in, like, almost instantly, but I know I'm not going to get one at this point. It's worth noting that with the tangles, you don't want to send Crackling Jade Lightning on the first set of them, because it's just not built up enough. It was only like 10, 11 stacks. After the first set, you should get more or less 20 for every single tangle afterwards. It's just the first one comes in so fast that it's not valuable. Hi, yes. So quick pause here because I've changed things since actually making this and recording this. Basically, when I say don't Crackling Jade Lightning here, do. Since recording this, I actually started Crackling Jade Lightning on this first set, regardless of stats, right? Whether you're at 10, 9, 8, 5, 12, 20, you won't be at 20. But let's say you're at like 11 or something, send it here, because basically regardless of what happens, you will reach 20 for the next set, so you might as well send it here, get the 3 target cleave of Crackling Jade Lightning, then not sending it, reaching 20, and then holding for 20 for a while. So the moment that the ads spawn, send the Crackling Jade Lightning, and then you'll be at 20 stacks for the next one, and then send it there. Alright, back to it. And I also sent my second Stormwolf Fire here at the start because we're lusted, so I get as much haste bonus as possible to try keep up, stacks, get more flurry strikes out. So this is when I make one mistake with Crackling Jade Lightning on this fight. And I think it's worth showing. Well, it is worth showing. It's worth showing you how to not Crackling Jade Lightning on this fight. And I mess up the first time. So we're gonna have to talk about Crackling Jade Lightning here first. Crackling Jade Lightning works in like a 180-degree angle in front of your player. There is a distance between how far a target has to be from the next one to bounce, but it has to bounce more or less in front of your character. So the way that you play Loom'ithar is I should be standing here where this evoker is, facing the tangles, and then Crackling Jade Lightning the boss. It will bounce to both of them. From the way that I'm going to do it, I waste my 20 stack. Because look, I hit the boss, I'm not looking at it, I goobered, it's not bouncing. Even though these are always in range, as long as you're looking in that direction, they're always in range. Because I'm not facing them, it doesn't hit them, doesn't bounce off them. I do only boss damage here with Crackling Jade Lightning. Big mistake. So just worth noting, you should always be in a position where the boss is essentially in between your line of sight between these two tangles. It's worth trying to touch a death the tangle whenever possible, more boss damage. And this is the first time Transcendence actually gets use. I always place the Transcendence during this mechanic because you'll always have it back for the next one. And I stay in for more or less as long as possible. I'm a little bit greedy here. I wait for 1 second and then instantly Transcendence back. It's a little thing, but it just means faster uptime, right? And more uptime on the boss without having to run out a little bit too early. Very useful. Use Transcendence there. You can see no defense has been popped. Once again, I'm waiting on green. Spoiler alert, the mechanic doesn't come in. So because the mechanic doesn't come in, I move slightly because I know this, and I'm lining up my Crackling Jade Lightning here. So you can see now I've got them in my line of sight, but I'm still targeting the boss. And then I Crackling, and you can see now it hits both tangles. So you want it to be in line of sight. And that's why it's kind of almost good to be a pylon player at some points. Like, it kind of feels good to be on the pylons, because if you're on the pylon, you tend to usually... Well, I always found, because I was green for the most predominant part of the fight, I was always in a position where I could shoot it like this. So although I messed up the first one, you can see how my damage skyrockets. I'm not even on the meters, right? Look, not on the meters. Where is he? Where's my monk? He's doing no damage. Suddenly Crackling Jade Lightning, I jump up to 5th, 6th position, just off of one Crackling Jade Lightning, right? It's why it's so valuable in this fight to make sure you're hitting all 3 targets with Crackling Jade Lightning. And you can see it was pretty much 20 stacks. You should always be able to get 20 stacks as long as you don't get Mechanic, which we'll look at in a little bit when I do get Mechanic and I don't get 20 stacks. But you still send the Lightning every Tendril. Tendril? Are they called Tendrils? Tangles? Whatever. 2 minutes, send your cooldowns. There's no point waiting for anything here. Just send your cooldowns because you're going to need them later in the fight. You basically want to send cooldowns on this fight. And then once again, it's just building up, right? It's my off. I'm not on green marker for this one. It's my off rotation, I guess we'll call it. And once again, I'm building up stacks with these tangles. Got to 19, got to 20, waiting for this last one to come in. Probably should have Fist of Furied. And then once again, I look at them. I look them dead in the eyes, but I target the boss still, and it bounces to them. So this is where mistakes were a little bit made. I had a tether on me. So mistakes were made on my part a little bit, but at the same time, these positions over here in the bottom right-hand corner are criminal because I don't want to place my thing on the right-hand side here because this is where the entire group has to go. Everybody stood in front. They have to go in this area here. If I place it on the right-hand side here, I basically make the space really small for players to go to. However, there's a slight mechanic with this boss where if you break a tether on top of another web, you get stunned, as we'll see here. So I broke it on top. I get stunned. I thought I could thread the needle. I threaded the needle poorly. My mistake. Luckily, I am just on the edge here. So although I'm stunned, I cool out. I think I get a Blessing of Protection. This might have been what saved me. But essentially I survived, right? I survived this. But bit of a mistake on my end. But you can see how tight it is now already, the space. If I'd pop mine here as well as here, there'd be no space for the guild to stand. So technically, actually, this was the correct decision. Because there's a thingy over here. Some naughty player placed this over here. And there would have been no room, essentially, because another person broke their thing here. We'd all have, like, basically took tons of ticking damage. So I didn't know this, actually, until I rewatched the footage. And I was like, actually, this was the correct decision. I'm not a numpty. So good on me. Thumbs up. Once again, going to green, because that's my pylon position. And then it's just building up stacks. So I lost a lot of built-up stacks here. This is the one I was talking about, because I spent so long in the Tendril, I didn't get to do the Transcendence tech. But it doesn't matter. I still send the lightning here. I don't let it build up more because I know for the next set, I'll be able to get another crackling. But also, spoiler alert, there is no set next set. Also worth mentioning here, this is the first time I got my soak. So you can see that I popped Karma for this one. And usually, you want to try let your soak stack up to 8 because there's 2 players per one. It shoots out 16 stacks worth of. So if you take 8, the other player takes 8. 2 thumbs up. We're happy with that. Luckily, my tank was doing nothing at this point. So it was just like, bro, I got you. And he just stood in front of it. Gamer. So I only got 2 stacks here. Probably not even worth the Karma. But I didn't know that before I popped the Karma, right? And now I line up again. And I hit both ads. Do I hit both ads? Tell me I hit both ads. That's kind of criminal if I don't. Yeah, I hit both ads because it's 180 in front of me. So you can see it. You can see it bouncing just there. But this is still tight, right? Like my character is technically looking at it. But I should have faced my camera a little bit further the other way. Because you can see that almost missed. So that's a little bit poor on my end. And then you can see here, I am saving my Stormith and Fire. I've almost let this stack up to 2, and I'm saving it because I knew that we were going to pop soon. And I want as much value from the double damage as possible in P2. So it kind of lines up almost perfectly, right? That we get this line up like this. Because now he's basically phasing, and now I pop my Stormith and Fire. So I basically didn't sit on 2 stacks for any longer than a second or so, and I get full value from it. So it is worth if it's possible, but you don't want to be sat there on 2 stacks for like a super long amount of time just so that you can get the value from it. I mean, you probably would benefit more, but you know what I mean? It's not worth like holding cooldowns for this for too long a period of time, but a certain amount of time is worth it. Like, what's that specific number of time? I don't know. It just is a number, right? Like, best judgment. In terms of defensives, I need to go back here because I was yapping. When he does the frontal on your group, did he already do it? Yeah, he already did. You don't have to pop a defensive for this. Unless it's Fortifying Brew, in which case Fortifying Brew will last for the entire duration of this mechanic and the next one. Don't pop your defensive on this. This is survivable. It's the pushback that you want to be popping your defensive on. Because this is the one that hurts the most. So I pop Diffuse Magic the moment it comes in, I take no damage to it. This is the one that will kill players when things get a little bit hectic, everyone's stacking up, stuff like that. So it's not the frontal triangle cone pizza slice that you want a defensive, unless it's Fort Brew. It's that other one that you want to do. So you see me, I'll get the next pizza cone in a sec, and you'll see me Fort Brew that, because I know it's going to last the entire duration. And once again, cooldowns came off of cooldowns. Just fully send, boss taking double damage. Hit that fucking bug. What even is it? A moth? Yeah, smack that boy. It's a relatively simple P2, and it gets easier. Do I pop fort here? I do, right? You can see 0.5 seconds before it comes out. That's when I pop fort. Because I know I can take it, but I want it to last the entire pushback as well. I could have popped it earlier, right? But I was being a little bit risky, and it lasts the entire time of this pushback. I'm fine, take no damage. Depending on what group you are, this is a lot easier. Because I'm playing in group 1, you can see how tight our space is. Look at group 2 over here. They're having the time of their lives, these range players, right? Look how much room they've got to chill in. Whereas us melee are fighting for space here. And that's just how it is. That's just how the fight is. Eventually, once you move him around the room enough to get to this big open space here with no webbing, it's free because you've got so much room to move. But until then, it's really tight. So you do have to be careful positioning. Keep an eye on health pots and health stone and stuff like that, because it is really easy to die here, especially if you touch this purple liquid here. Like one tick, you are probably half health, if not dead. On top of another combo, you are dead. So you always want to try to be on the furthest away part of this hitbox, if that makes sense. Because trust me, I've touched this more than I care to admit. It really, really hurts. And then once again, I have Stormwrath Fire here. I'm waiting to get 20 stacks of lightning because I want to get full value from it, because I know it's my last set of cooldowns I'm going to get sent out. So I even popped my Nether Prism. We got a lucky touch of death there that I completely planned, trust me, bro. And now it's just send. And it's relatively simple now, this part of the fight, because you see now the room's opened up a lot more. So now suddenly I've got tons of room to hide in, tons of room to play in. Even though I have no defensives left, I know I have a health pot, I'll probably be fine. On progress, this was a lot scarier when it did a lot more damage, and I probably would have called for externals. I would have asked my healer for their sack right here. Maybe a time... I forget what the evoker one's called. Rewind? Time dilation? I don't know, something like that. I would have called for it, essentially, because at this point it's very scary in the fight, especially in prog, especially if you know defensives left. And then, I have diffused magic up. I know the boss is almost over, but I'd use that. So you try, you can rotate each defensive for each set. I think you just miss one set, and then the rotation starts again. So there's, one set where you have to be really careful, because you can, diffuse the first one, Karma the second one, Fort the third one, or whatever order you want based on defensive from P1. And then there's one set, I think, where you don't quite have the defensive up, and that's when you need to probably be careful or look at health pot, health stone, that sort of jazz. Yeah, Loom'ithar, once again, 5-minute 36 kill, right? I think it can definitely go either way, Conduit or SHADOPAN. Both are good for this fight. The reason a lot of players are playing SHADOPAN specifically is essentially, yes, because of the Crackling Jade Lightning on the tendrils. Conduit struggles a little bit with keeping up with that sort of damage, because realistically at this point, by the time the tethers or tendrils, whatever they're called, get to the boss, they're dead. On prog, it was a lot tighter. But now, if you're playing Conduit, you're going to struggle to cleave, slicing winds and stuff on the both targets. So it's more like very single target if you're playing Conduit. Whereas with Crackling Jade Lightning, you're always cleaving off of them, right? You get big value. But with that said, the shorter this fight gets in the future, the less Crackling Jade Lightnings you'll get off, the less value there might be for Crackling Jade Lightning, right? Because, once again, it does a lot of damage. Let me try bring up the actual damage here, because it's useful in this situation. So you can see Crackling Jade Lightning, third highest damage, right? And this is even with the scuffed one. So if I got that first one off correctly, it'd be higher, right? It'd be further up the meters than this. The less amount of times that you're able to Crackling Jade Lightning because you push the boss faster, it might actually be more Conduit favored, because suddenly this becomes less valuable. And suddenly actual boss damage becomes more valuable. And I think maybe potentially Conduit might have the edge there. It's hard to tell. But it's one of those fights where I think you can go either or, and you'll play it absolutely fine. The way Conduit would play for this fight is just the exact same way, just without having to worry about Crackling Jade Lightning positioning and stuff like that, and sending every 1 minute 30, right? Probably a lot simpler to play, but SHADOPAN probably has the edge on it right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Storm, Earth, and Fire. Invoke Siwan, the White Tiger.
Orb.
Storm, Earth, and Fire. Soak ending.
Orb. Orb.
Smack at.
Flare weaving.
Orb.
Flare weaving.
Orb.
Crackling jade lightning.
Golden wall.
Orb.
Transcendence.
Over-infusion burst. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Orb.
Flare weaving. Insulting dialogue. Flare weaving.
Crackling jade lightning.
Golden wall. Golden wall.
Soak ending.
Orb.
Storm, earth, and fire. Invoke Siwan, the white tiger. Smack at.
Flare weaving. Flare weaving.
Orb.
Crackling jade lightning.
Golden wall.
Orb.
Transcendence.
Over-infusion burst. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Flare weaving.
Orb.
Insulting dialogue. Flare weaving.
Crackling jade lightning. Soak ending.
Orb.
Smack at.
Flare weaving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fortifying brew. Crackling jade lightning.
Rising wave. Arcane
Transcendence. Hold fort brew. Storm, earth, and fire.
Orb.
Invoke Siwan, the white tiger. Storm, earth, and fire.
Arcane outrage.
Orb.
Rising wave.
Diffuse magic. Storm, earth, and fire.
Arcane outrage.
Soak ending. Storm, earth, and fire. Hold diffuse.
Rising wave.
Smack at.
Arcane outrage.
Orb.
Rising wave.
Touch of karma.
Arcane outrage.
Touch of karma.